Good morning. Welcome to the Bobby Moore Stand. I'm Gary and this is Chris. And this is the breakfast show. The breakfast show. How are you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, mate. First there was Soccer AM, and now there's a Bobby Moore Stand on 9:15 on a Saturday morning.
That's right. That's right. It's far more entertaining than that. Well, that was. I'll tell you what, that was entertaining once. It was entertaining once. I used to watch it every Saturday.
Yeah.
Then it turned a bit crap, didn't it? It was like it was like the go-to on a Saturday morning, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, of course it was. Yeah, I quite like Soccer AM. Yeah, it was good. It's just a shame they got rid of that, but as I say, it's now
Yeah.
the Bobby Moore Stand, so you know.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, at this time anyway. You know what I mean? We don't make a habit of stuff, do we?
Yeah.
But anyway, morning all. And today is our last ever trip to Goodison Park. It's well, it's going to be a tough game, very tough game. Everton are unbeaten in 9 games. 9 games. That's a lot of games, Chris, isn't it?
Well, you wouldn't necessarily associate that type of record with David Moyes, would you? I mean, he's gone in there and he's been, let's be fair, he's been a bit of a revelation for them. Quite
Yeah,
incredible the turnaround. I was looking at some stats earlier on actually last night, and so prior to him being in charge, they scored 15 goals in their previous 19 games. They've
yeah.
so far scored 16 goals in 9 games, right? So
I know.
he's obviously shored up the defence, got them scoring more goals. He's got them. I'm not going to say playing good football, but he's certainly got them playing effective football, right, to get pull out results. So fair play
Yeah.
to him.
Morning, everyone in the chat. Morning, everyone in the chat. Yeah, I'm not. I'm over the Moyes thing now, so I'm not going to make this a personal thing about Moyes. I
Yeah.
think the advantage we've got is we know how his teams play,
Mm.
and he does like a solid defence. And when he walked in at Everton, that's the one thing he had was an already running, functioning, solid defence. But they just couldn't score goals.
Mm.
And Moyes, I think he bought in a midfielder, didn't he? He bought a midfielder in the transfer window. And he's using the striker, the one up front, in the right way,
Mm.
right? So whereas the previous geezer, Dyche, who's like version 1 of Moyes. If you say Moyes, he's like a pre-release of Moyes, isn't he? Dyche. He's like not quite ready. He was using him as a target man, and he's not useful as a target man. So what they've got now is basically a lot of players getting down the wing, in Mikalenko especially, and getting crosses in, and so supporting him properly, getting up and supporting him with a high press as well. Again, one of the things frustratingly he didn't do with some of that, because I think if you think back to Skamaka and Haller, had they had more bodies around them, we always said it, didn't we, at the time, then it would have made a hell of a difference. Would have made. But anyway, that time's gone. Let's talk about today, and I think they play in quite a simple way, as you'd expect. It's a 4-2-3-1. It will be a 4-2-3-1 without a shadow of a doubt. And what they tend to do is absolutely pack out the midfield with the forward players, dropping back, kind of narrowing the pitch a lot, right?
Mm.
So and making it very difficult to get through that central midfield. And going up against that, I think Potter's got to do something different. Personally, I don't think the midfield that we've been playing is going to be able to compete with that.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, it's the midfields didn't compete in the last game, did it? I think I want to see him make changes, Gal, but I'm a bit kind of worried that he won't. In all honesty, because I think perhaps maybe he might sort of try and be a bit more reserved, a bit more cautious. Play with the five
Yeah,
at the back. I'm hoping he doesn't. I know you think slightly differently, and I'm hoping you're right, by the way. But for me, yeah, the midfield is absolutely crucial because they've got the Kure in there, they've got Idrissa Gana Gueye in there. This is the thing. I think physically they're going to outpower us if we play in Ward-Prowse and Souček and Alvarez there. I'm sure that they will.
yeah,
They've got some good players. Another horrible stat that I read the other day was Jack Harrison, ex-Leeds player.
yeah.
He's most effective when he plays against West Ham. So out of any other Premier League team, he's most effective at West Ham. I think he went through some real barren spell where he scored 0 goals in 30. I don't know, 30. I think in 35 or 36 games.
Yeah.
Scored last week against Wolves, so he's back on the back and running again. You just know it's going to happen, right? I mean, well, you don't, but that's the worry. He scored 3 goals and he's got 2 assists against us, more than any other Premier League team that he's faced. We'll have to
Yeah,
wait and
yeah.
see, mate.
You got to bear in mind. You got to bear in mind how. Again, going back to Graham Potter, I watched his pre-match interview on Friday's press conference, and he was actually he was quite animated at points during this. I think the recent criticism has sort of got to him a little bit because in many ways his sort of body language was going, "What do you want me to do?" Because he's saying, "Oh, it's not very exciting, is it?" And what he was saying was, "Well, if you look at West Ham last year, they let in outside the bottom three the most goals in the Premier League. That is a bad defence."
Oh yeah.
And he said when he turned up, they were doing the same thing. They were conceding hatfuls of goals. So the priority was absolutely to start building from the back. Whether you like it or not, that was a priority to start building from the back and get that defence sorted. And then once you got that sorted, get the midfield being stable, because it's not just the defenders who have got to defend, it's the midfield as well. And we know from last year and the year before, it was that central midfield that was killing us, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was. So do you expect them to make some changes today then, as a
I
result?
do. But we have again. Let me just say. I think his point was as well. We have competed in every game. We haven't been battered by anybody. We've competed in every game. There've been some narrow ones, and the performances have not been the best. But when it comes to flair and creating chances, we're all going. A lot of people are going, "Oh, it's bloody Moyes all over again." I think it's far from Moyes all over again. It's completely different if you watch the detail of it. The net effect might be it's boring, because it is, right. There is no sort of outlet, and you've got your limited options in attack. You're kind of using them in defensive positions or bringing them deep. So in that way, in a sort of mindset way, it does kind of feel like the last era, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But he actually defended himself for once and said, "You've got to remember, I've got hardly any outside of Bowen and Kudus, and Bowen was injured for quite a long time when he came here. Outside of those two players have been in and out, injured, unavailable, out of form. Somerville went missing first game. Fulkrug went missing first game. Antonio weren't even available and probably won't be. That is basically your two main striking options gone. You've got another striker that's come in who's not fit yet in Ferguson. He said that. He admitted. He said he's fit. He's not fit, but he's getting there. And you've got Somerville. Really, he's the only kind of fast-paced player we've got outside of Paqueta, who's got a little bit of guile and a little bit of skill. And even he's been missing the last couple of games, Paqueta. So when you look at all this, you sort of think, well, we've been a little bit unfair, just slagging him off for not shoring up defence and then turning into a free score in West Ham when he's most of the 9 games he's played, they've been mitigations, right? Especially the first 5 games, maybe, where he had an injury crisis.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I wouldn't say from my perspective, I've not been slagging him off. I think I'm fairly
No, I
patient with
mean,
him. I've said to you all along. I think I see this season as kind of it's a bit of a damp squib, to be honest with you. Right? It's kind of already done. We're probably not going to finish any higher than say probably 12th, maybe 11th if we're lucky. So for me, I think it's really just a case of Potter trying to get used to his team. And I know a lot of people say, oh, everyone's saying it's like a pre-season, a big long pre-season for West Ham. But yeah, actually, I think it is. And I think actually, in a way, maybe we need to treat it that way because there's nothing to play for now. Obviously, pride, passion, all that kind of stuff, playing for the fans. I get all of that. But I'd much rather that he kind of really works out what he has with his current squad, so he knows exactly what he can use next and depend on next season. Right? That's what I hope.
I'm sure that's what he's doing. I mean, but this is a typical criticism from Ralph. Least amount of shots, it's Moyes part 2. This is where you weaponise a stat, right? Because when you watch the football, I don't see Moyes. I see a very different wanting to pass the ball on the ground, wanting to retain possession type of team. I don't see, and you might just write that off as sideways passing, but that's partly to do with the players. When you've got someone like Ward-Prowse, who you really want to give him the ball and get him to drive forward and pick out a forward pass, he don't do it. He goes sideways, right? When you remember the first game that he played when he come back, Ward-Prowse, you remember how he was driving forward? He was actually carrying the team forward, wasn't he?
I mean, I do understand why people are saying, oh, it's Moyes, 0.2 or whatever, but as you said, it's not, and you can tell in terms of how we're playing because it is definitely about ball retention. It's about we are definitely a bit more cautious. I mean, if you look at how we're playing under Lopetegui, right? I mean, it's poles apart. I mean, it's absolutely poles apart in terms of, I guess, how much more cohesive we are as a team. We look a lot more organised and a lot more structured.
Yes.
You kind of already pointed out the big area for me where we're really kind of ineffective right now. He's up front. But, when you look at the Newcastle game the other day, what I could see was, we were pretty deep in that game, yeah? We were playing it backwards and sideways, but there was no outlet up front. And the problem is because there was no creativity in that kind of conduit between the central midfield areas and our attacking players. Our attacking players had to drop back. So suddenly you've got Goodison, Bowen, that are literally dropping back into the midfield areas, getting the ball turning, and they've got like a sea of Newcastle players in front of them. So this is where we're lacking. And
we have got the player, right?
Yeah, we need the creativity, which is why. Look, I mean, I think Paquet. I mean, we kind of pretty much know
he's essential, isn't he? He's
essential. But he's done at West Ham. But he's essential in the sense of we've got no one else that can be that link between the midfield and our attacking players in that final third. So we need someone that can really try and create an opportunity, because at the moment, there's no creativity, particularly when you've got Bowen and Goodison dropping deep, right? We need someone up there. And honestly, if you're talking about changes, I would really like to see Evan Ferguson start, and I would like to see Paqueta start, because I think that, or if Paqueta doesn't start, definitely Ferguson. So we've got a focal point up front rather than having effectively two unorthodox strikers in, Goodison and Bowen playing up there. We need to get them in their flanks, Yeah,
I do agree with that. And he's had more than enough time to get some match fitness now, and he's had some some game time. I mean, look, I as I said weeks ago, I haven't been watching any other channels at all, which is quite nice because it clears your mind and you can just read stuff and come to your own, and watch football and come to your own conclusions. So I'm not going to get carried away with any narratives or anything like that, right? As far as I'm concerned, as Chris says, this season is a bit of a write-off, and he's trying to... When I went to that game the other night, Newcastle game, I just assumed on the way home that people would be bitching about it, right? I ain't even been looking at Twitter, so I don't know, but I assume they've been bitching about it, because it's just they're the sort of things that we get when we do shows. We see that they're the sort of comments we get, and I assume that's what the narrative is out there. And I do know that there was a rumor put around the other day, and he reacted quite angrily to this, Potter, because it was put out by the club stooge that Somerville was out for the rest of the season, which is frankly bollocks. He's back after the international break, and so is Fulkrug. So you might see Fulkrug getting a couple of minutes today, but it didn't seem hopeful, to be honest. They're both targeting after the international break. But the problem we've got is a certain apathy set in amongst the fans with Lopetegui, where people just disengaged. And there was a certain time last season where people just disengaged as well. And we've got nowhere we can go this season. We can't get relegated. We could get into Europe if we won fucking back-to-back until the end of the year, but it's at best unlikely, because we just haven't got the attacking players to do it, to turn games, to win games convincingly. So the best we can hope for is a narrow win in most of these games, unless the opposition is rubbish, which they're generally not. So I think spreading gossip like that and making news up is why I stopped doing the gossip, because I did have a look at News Now yesterday. And this is just a typical example of the stuff that I was reading, and again, it was we weren't reporting on it because you can see through it straight away. But it's the sort of thing that really got me down with all that stuff during the transfer window. It was on Hammer's News website. They said, something like the end is nigh for Todibo at West Ham, and I thought, really, is it? And you know what they'd actually done? When you actually read the article, it was, first of all, they clarified that he'd said some nice things about how West Ham had looked after him this week. And then they regurgitated that Juventus wanted to sign him, and then alluded to the fact they might still want to sign him. And so, therefore, his time at West Ham could be short. And that's where the headline come from. It's like, you're making it up, boys.
I think what it is, mate, there's a lack of kind of news out there right now. So ultimately they're making things up and kind of elaborating or exaggerating on certain situations. I mean, if you look at the whole Jonathan David thing, that's resurfaced again. Oh, we're kind of caught in, his agent was at the game apparently at Newcastle. We still after him and going
all time, Chris.
Of course it is, mate. And it's the same with there was. I don't know, because the only thing I've been looking at is X. Well, the only thing I've been looking at is X, and I've seen a few reports there actually. Coming from some people saying that Jonathan David going all out for him, but also that
he's not coming to us.
And also that we want Ferguson as well. It's like no,
he's not coming to us either, and we ain't spending 60 million on him.
Of course we're not. But as you pointed out, it's basically creating news because there is no news for clicks, all that kind of stuff, right? So I honestly, I don't read, and I've not been watching anything, and it's been quite cathartic just to kind of crack on and do these shows and just talk about it off the top of my head.
It's been brilliant. I can't tell you how good it's been, right? Because I was getting I was getting all that shit was getting inside my head, what people were talking about and everything else, and it does affect you, but it doesn't now, thank God. But the last thing I could feel the other night after that game against Newcastle was anger. Really, I just thought I was disappointed, but I forgot the game as soon as I got back in the car. You know what I mean? I weren't going to get hung up on it. The season's done. We're just trying to claw a few bits of entertainment out and hope for a few surprises. Like perhaps today away at Everton, it'd be nice, wouldn't it? It'd be nice to go and get a result. Any
Yeah, I
game
hope we
away from
do.
home would be nice.
I hope we do for the away fans, because they, you know what I mean. They in their droves, they
Yeah.
go up to see these games and putting the miles, putting the effort, and like you
Yeah.
mentioned about coming away from the Newcastle game. You didn't feel angry or anything. I didn't feel angry, but I definitely, like you, to use your word, I was absolutely disappointed, because it's so frustrating when you turn up for these games. You just want a bit of entertainment. And I just kind of go back to what I said before. Obviously we met up before the game. The most enjoyable part of me going to games at the moment is genuinely speaking to people in and around the ground before, during, and after the game.
Yeah.
It's certainly not watching the football, mate. It's pretty dire and turgid. But as I say, I kind of I'm willing to accept that, because I think, look, as I say, if we look at this as extended pre-season, then I'm fine with that. But I would like to see us put in some performances, and today is definitely one of those days, because Moyes, make no mistake about it, he's going to be bang up for this game. How he plays it will be interesting, and I know you've got some kind of ideas in terms of what he's going to do. But I tell you what, I mean, this is the one game I just do not want to see us losing. I really, really don't, because look, they're one place ahead of us. We can overtake them. We can overtake Spurs potentially as well. And also, we've got some tough games coming up after this one. I think we need to we need to be winning this game if we want to kind of stay in around the 11th and 12th spots, or maybe if we want to kind of push up, we have to beat Everton. If we don't, we're going to literally kind of resign ourselves to be probably finishing bottom 5. This season, and I really don't want that.
I agree with you. And sorry, that thing about Soler, that comment about Soler, I think I'm starting to see now that Ward-Prowse has got a part to play this season. I don't think he's got a part to play beyond that, because you do need someone who's in his position to take the ball forward and not constantly turn around and go the other way. And when you couple that up with the double pivot of Souček and Alvarez, who are learning to play with each other without fucking up, because they're keeping out of each other's way, I think. One of them is when we go forward, one of them's wide left, one's wide right. They've got clear instructions. The fact that he's got those three to function together as a functional midfield, albeit boring midfield, that is a damn sight better than than that combination that we had last year that got pulled apart every game, didn't it?
Yeah, of course.
So I would like to see Soler. We've only got him for a few more games. In a game like this, like he was good against Chelsea, I would definitely try Soler. I might try him instead of, again, do you want to go 2 attacking, because it's going to be a physical battle inside there and there's going to be bodies in the middle? You might need a Souček for this game. You might need an Alvarez.
I don't think we can go 2 attacking against Everton. I mean, based on how we've been playing at the moment, we've not been remotely attacking. So just to play one more attacking player than what we've been playing recently, I think is absolutely fine. I can't see Potter going all out. I can't. I think he's going to be very cautious. But I would like to see one attacking player that can make the difference. And as I said, hopefully that's going to be Ferguson or Paqueta today. Because that's right. I think Claire's got a good point here, and that is Potter's nothing like Moyes. Football definitely isn't, from what I'm seeing. And if you want to simplify football down to the point of, am I entertained or am I bored? And then if you're bored, it equals Moyes. Then if you're going to use that kind of maths to make your decisions, then you're going to be angry and you're going to be bored, right? If you actually bother to look at the football and understand the difference in the way we're playing, which is why I weren't that unhappy against Leicester, even though if I watched it at home, I'd probably be asleep. At the game, I actually quite enjoyed the passing game. It was neat and tidy. It was like something had come off the training ground for once, for the first time ever. We said nothing going forward, don't get me wrong. But exactly this. There is mitigation for this. Early on, nobody would have blamed him had he sat in the stands for the Villa game and watched us quietly get slaughtered, right? He didn't. He turned up. He played 3 games in 8 days. He didn't make any excuses. We've had some great wins in terms of Arsenal away, Fulham at home. We rolled over Leicester. We had a good draw away at Villa as well. We should have perhaps got a point at Chelsea, without a shadow of a doubt. I think there have been a few disappointing games. I think Brentford, he got the tactics wrong, and when he does that, you got to call it out. But that does not equal Brentford
does not equal Newcastle. Newcastle are going for the Champions League. They're in a cup final on Sunday. Clearly, he did the right thing, Eddie Howe, and he made those players, as few as he's got, he made them play for their place in the final, didn't he?
Yeah, but I mean, we spoke about it before the game, Gary, and I think your kind of take was, I know we're all feeling pretty confident for a win.
Yeah.
We felt that perhaps some of those players would be pulling out challenges. I think you said that, right, when I did the vlog, because they didn't want to get hurt for the final. But if I'm being honest, mate, honestly, I don't think really Newcastle got too far out of second gear. I don't, honestly. We might differ on opinions on here.
I do disagree with that, actually. I thought they were playing really. I thought they were playing at their best, Newcastle. Those few chances that they made with the saves from Areola, I think they were really bloody brilliant moves.
Oh yeah, look,
slide rule shit, right?
No, look, they were some world-class saves that he pulled off. I mean, two in particular were stunning, right? They were, but I don't think Newcastle really were as amazing as maybe you might not said amazing, but as
not amazing. Not amazing. No, I wouldn't say that.
I don't. I just feel that we were just. I don't know. We just lacked. We just lacked that kind of energy, and we lacked that again. That kind of attacking threat. It was a boring game to watch, Gal. I'm sorry.
I know.
It, mate, you know?
Listen, it's easy to create a narrative. It's easy to create a narrative around someone or around a manager and start calling them negative, start stirring up the pot, and get a load of people saying the same. Flood Twitter, flood everything whenever there's a bad result or something like that. And that is sadly what happens. And it's sadly what happened when Moyes was here as well. Only you had it from both sides, didn't you? You had the Moyes in and the Moyes out, which is just the worst time, apart from the cup final, that last period of Moyes being at West Ham with all the divisiveness and the divided fans. I really didn't enjoy it at all. And that was the main reason I wanted to
didn't
be
enjoy
on,
it, Gal. But to be clear, I'm not having to go at Potter or anything like that.
No,
I'm accepting it. I'm accepting it, and there's no way I'm going to judge Potter this season whatsoever. I really won't be. I think he needs time. He's come in, and this is his pre-season. I'm just calling the games as I see them, and I felt that Leicester was poor, and I thought Newcastle was a poor performance as well.
It was.
And I think what, even Potter said it himself. I think he even felt that it wasn't a great performance. So I'm just calling the games as I see them, not digging out. I've got no narrative. I'm just, as I say,
no.
As I see it.
No, that's what I'm saying. You've got to take every game on its merits, and I think with that one, did we look organised? Yes. Did we
defensively? Yeah.
Defensively, I think midfield was quite solid as well. They weren't getting overrun. The problem was there was absolutely no way forward. There was no way forward. No one was prepared to take the ball forward, and because the midfield was so deep, all three of them, it actually sucked Goodison and Bowen back in, and every time they attempted to carry forward, they got swarmed, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. I mean, I think Souček got caught out in that game for me. I thought he was really poor.
He was poor.
Showed his deficiencies as a player, actually, because I mean, he was really kind of anonymous for me. I thought he was. So I don't know. I just want to see some changes today, mate. I want to see some changes. I want to see us play, on the front foot a little bit as well. Go after Everton. Definitely want to see that.
But you predict the same team then?
Well, I kind of Yeah, I kind of am at the moment.
So how are we going to get on the front foot with that?
Well, we're not going to. That's the point. I don't want to see this lineup, Gal. There's a difference between
what do you want to see?
Lineup and wanting that lineup.
What do you want to see?
I'd rather see us play a flat back four. I'd rather see us play a back four. I'd rather see probably, I don't know, Alvarez playing in the holding role on his own. I want to see a bit more creativity in the middle. So I'd like to see Paqueta start. And I'd like to see Ferguson up front. I want to see Goodison on the left. I want to see Bowen on the right. I want to just see that for me. I would prefer that. I'm okay with conceding goals. I want to see that. I think what Potter's done is he's kind of showcased that, you know what, he can organise us defensively. Let's now see if he can actually organise us attacking, from an attacking point of view. Let's see what he can do in that respect, because so far we've not really seen that in many games. I want to see what he can do with Ferguson starting the game, with Kadu starting the game, with Bowen and Paqueta. That I want to see in some way, shape, or form for a big part of the game today, because if we do that, I do believe that we stand a real chance against Everton. I don't want to see Mavropanos come on again. I don't want to see that. I'm sick and tired of seeing that guy. That's the one guy that's the one narrative that I'm not going to diverge away from. I'm sick to the teeth him coming on. He came on against Newcastle the other day, and straight away he goes running with the ball up the pitch, loses it. He's shocking. So I wonder what point do we get to where we can say actually we can play Todibo for longer than 65 minutes, because for the last three games he gets subbed every game 65.
He explained that in the pre-match. He said, they asked him a question directly, why does he keep coming off after 65 minutes? Is he lacking fitness? And he said, he was out for a long time, and you got to build up the minutes, and he's doing Ramadan at the moment.
Yeah, no, look, I get that.
So
But
he's running out of energy. He's running out of energy, and that's the point where he starts to look vulnerable, right? so I don't think he has much of a choice, albeit he's going to get better every game. He's going to stay on longer every
well, let
game.
me ask you the question, Gary. Do you think that he's looked like he's been running out of energy in the last game? Honestly,
Not particularly, no, but I don't know what the indicators are. I don't know. But that's what that's what he says anyway. There could be another thing as well where he does want to put Mavropanos in the shop window, but every time he comes on, he makes a ricket, and he's not doing a very good job being in the shop window.
well,
Is
he's going to be in the
he? No one
bargain
would buy
bucket,
anything
isn't
from
he? If
that
he
shop,
carries.
would they?
No,
Yeah,
he'd be in the flipping bargain bucket out the front of the shop. Like, I mean,
yeah,
he's
he
part
would.
of
He would.
honestly, he
Bargain bucket of the pound shop.
yeah.
Yeah,
They just give him away at the till. Honestly, I'm
yeah.
sick of him. I really am. I don't want to see him in a West Ham shirt anymore. I'd much rather see Casey playing than him. He could do. I mean, can he do any worse than Mavropanos? Honestly, I don't believe he could. I don't. And I've not even really seen much of him. But if you're talking
I
about a
haven't
player that
seen.
makes a mistake every game, if you're talking about a
Yeah,
player that makes a mistake every game, then use Casey as the backup, not
I,
Mavropanos, because Casey's more for the future, not
Yeah, but I
Dinos.
think it's easier, to be honest, to bring a fullback or wingback in as a youth team player than to shove a kid into the middle,
Yeah,
right?
of course it is. But I'm
Especially,
not saying start him, though, Gal. I'm not saying start him. I'm
yeah.
saying he can
Oh,
be the guy
bring him
that
on
come
late.
on in the
Yeah.
65th minute, or he can place it. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
In a three, I would agree with you, but definitely not in a two, right? And I let's talk about just one more thing. I'd really like to see Guilherme play for at least 10 minutes. Well, yeah, I would as well because I've invested in him now, and I would.
Is he still there? Because I can't see it
I
today,
just
Gal.
don't
Is he still on
think.
your wall?
I know he is still there. I don't think we've got the. I don't think Potter is going to put a player on if we don't envisage they're going to make a significant impact. And I think the games where he hasn't got any minutes, away at Chelsea where we're chasing the game, that is risk free. Put him on, let him help you chase the game, right? And I think if we're losing today, late on, Guilherme might get a run out. Doesn't explain why he didn't get a run out against Newcastle, by the way, right? Or did he? I went.
No, he didn't. And
No.
no, did he? I can't remember. No, you know my theory on him. I just genuinely am wondering whether or not he's good enough. I hope he
Yeah.
is.
Well,
I do really wonder.
it's a second manager who hasn't used him much, and he
Mm.
did actually say he wanted to give him a go. Put Irving on; he needs time. I think the thing is, Irving is much of a muchness compared to when you look at his style of play and what he does. He also don't carry the ball forward, right? He's a central defensive midfielder. He's not so is Souček, really. He's got no creativity. He can't carry the ball forward. He can be a target man. He can't carry it. Alvarez can carry it, but he rarely does. Yeah, I don't know. In fact, there's been a few games where Alvarez has carried it quite impressively, actually. And what as we said here, AP mitigations, yes, but he's not giving Guilherme much of a chance. He's quick and was very decent. Yeah, last 10 minutes when we're chasing the game don't mean he's going to do it from the start against Everton, does it? I mean, he might do it in the last 10 minutes when the team's tired. But again, it does depend who we're playing against, and I do trust the manager's judgment more than my own. To be honest, I'm willing to give him this season to make mistakes and learn about the players he's got, because he's got one hell of a rebuilding job to do at the end of this year. He needs to save as many parts from that squad as he possibly can, as many working parts. So he needs to make his mind up which parts are working and which ones ain't. That's his thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, yeah. That for me would be his remit, right? For this season now.
I don't get this argument. When that's all you've got, give Potter time, but playing Sue Alvarez and JWP in the same side, only two attacking players, is mind blowing. It's not mind blowing. That's the available players, really. I mean, what other choice have you got? What, Soler? Would that make a massive difference? Paqueta was just back from an ankle injury the other night. He weren't fit to start, right? Now apparently he is, and
Well,
he was
here's the thing.
unavailable the games before that.
Here's the thing, right? So who do you drop then, right? Because at the moment, right, Alvarez is a guaranteed starter in the middle of the park. I
Yeah,
think Souček typically is a guaranteed starter
yeah,
because of what he can offer in the final thirds, from set pieces and everything else, being a bit of a box crasher. And actually,
yeah.
aside from the Newcastle game, everyone was seemingly really, really pleased about JWP being back in the team, right? They
Yeah.
were. And even at the ground the other day, as soon as his name was called out, everyone's cheering. I was looking around like, all right, everyone's really happy about him. So, and also, let's not forget Soler was playing
Yeah.
he was playing awful recently. He was
That's
playing
right. Who's
awful.
the
So
midfielder? Who's the young midfielder who came on with Skulls early on in the
Alford.
season? Yeah, Alford. He came on, and the centre of the pitch is a tough place to play. And again, left back is as well. But I'm saying it's a tougher place to play in the middle of the pitch. You're going to get exposed. he was getting fucking abuse in the London Stadium after he'd just come on,
Yeah, young
right?
kid.
You cannot put a young kid into that situation. So you've got to put the grown-ups in there. You do.
Mm.
Or when a kid's ready and very, very special. I think Potsy will be ready when he comes back, for instance. But you can't fuck around with some of these positions. They're essential to the success and the defensive shape, if you like.
Mm.
Yeah, Jonathan David. I don't. We're not getting Jonathan David. People can make as many shows on that as they like. We ain't getting him. That is to sell season tickets early. Oh yeah, the vlog. This is another reason why Chris was angry the other day when he left Newcastle, because he'd gone to all that effort of making a vlog. And when you make a vlog, Chris, and we win, fantastic, right? When we
Yeah.
lose, you've got to go home and fucking watch all your footage back and put a vlog together.
Yeah, I was in two minds about doing it, because
Yeah,
I think it's one of those things where, like after a loss, you're not going to get a ton of views on it. But, like the purpose of me doing this, as we've discussed before, is
yeah.
there's a lot of people that don't go to games. So it just gives them a bit of a taste of, what we kind of do before, during, after, whatever. But I thought it was quite funny looking back because there was no highlights. I just as a bit of a P take, I put two corners in, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
And I came straight to me filming back here.
This, John WHU. Do you stand near me, John? Must do. Because there was two American women right in front of us, tourists from Texas, and they didn't know how to behave at a football match, and they were doing this. They were kind of listening to the thing and then turning it in their mind, translating it into a sort of NFL cheerleader thing, right? They're going at points, they would just burst out. Go West Ham.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
so all this sort of shit, and he's just like cringe. Just please stop. Just please stop. When does the game end? Is it 90 minutes? It ends at 90, but there'll be a few minutes extra. How many? Is it going to go on for 120 minutes? No. They'll put a board up the end, and you add the 90 to that, and it will give you the total number of points. But I think you should go early. Ross was saying, I think you should go early because you don't want to miss the rush. You want to miss the rush. They have those stop go balls and everything. It'd be terrible outside. Take ages to get back to Houston, right? Austin, wherever you're from. But yeah, it was. It was grim. I was grim. But yeah. It's like Good Johnson over again. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Absolutely. Every bloody window. Every window. Don't get me wrong. If we signed Jonathan David, I would be amazed. But I've just been, from the information that I have, and I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying I'm 90k, by the way. But from what I was told, we ain't fucking signing him. I'll say no more than that. Right?
Mm.
Stats can show anything. Yes, they can. If you want to make a positive show or a negative show, you can take stats from any game or any group of games, pick the ones that look positive or negative, and make a show about it. Well said, Obsidian. Suchek spoons a sitter from 6 yards, but let's blame Potter. Exactly. And I tell you what, we go 1-0 up when Newcastle are on the back foot. They start thinking immediately, this ain't my night. They're not at full strength either. There's a few players missing. Were they really going to put their bodies on the line to chase that back? But when you miss a goal like that, you sort of start thinking, oh, it ain't our night. A chance like that. That was a great chance. Great chance.
But I'll tell you what, though. I mean, again, going back to Areola's saves, wow. I mean, the first one was right in front of me. I don't know how he got down for that. It's just his reactions were unreal.
World class.
Honestly, you got to kind of give credit where it's due. But also the other one where Kilman, where he headed it and he just looped over, Areola. How he got to that, I do not know. I mean, it just goes to show
that was even better. That was even better.
Yeah, I mean, he can be. Don't get me. He can be world class with his shot stopping. It's just the distribution, and he's coming for crosses and things like that. He did really well actually the other day.
Let's do Ole Moyes hoofballs. Well, funny enough, in order to be effective against Newcastle, that's what you got to force out of Everton. You've got to get it to the point where their centre halves are hoofing it long to the man up front, because Kilman will sweep that up all day long, right? That is the service that he was getting under Dyche.
Which is Beto, basically, right? We've got to kind of contain his threat today.
So if they start doing that, then our plan is working. That's what I'm saying. It's all about, not necessarily winning the midfield kind of head-to-head. It's about being intelligent and creating situations where you outnumber them in midfield because you pull players away. Because if you don't outnumber them, and you've got the same amount of players all there outnumber you, you're just going to get swamped and everything's going to turn to shit. So this is where Paqueta and co come into it. They're quite important. So I think there will be changes. I think we will switch to the back four, and I think today, with a heavy heart, I think Scholes gets a rest today because we're not playing a wing-back system, and he is a wing-back, let's be honest. And this is going to be I envisage against David Moyes. One thing you can say against us is we were always tough to play against physically with David Moyes. You can guarantee this team will be as well. So I think Emerson goes in at left-back. Cresswell gets dropped as well. It gives us one more attacking player.
Do you think Emerson's a better fullback than Scholes defensively? Because
well, I think
is,
Scholes is a better wing back than Emerson. I think in this particular game, no, I don't think he's a better one. But I think at the moment, he is just starting his career. He don't have to play every game. He's had a run of games. He's done brilliantly, and he wasn't that good against Newcastle. So look, let him have a rest of a game. Go to a back four, and then next game, whoever we play, we can decide what we're going to use there. The back three might be suitable again. All right, so yeah, I think we do that. Scholes gets rested, Cresswell gets rested. They've played a load of games in a row. Emerson will be fresh. You play Tadebo's getting up to speed with Kilman, learning to play alongside him. AWB obviously. I think in midfield, it's gonna be tough, isn't it? What would you say formation would be? Straight 4-4-2 or what?
Mate, I don't know. I mean, that's probably, if you're going to play four at the back, it's going to be 4-1, I would imagine. So you're going to probably play Alvarez in the holding role. 4-1, 4-1, something like that. But with our two wingers playing slightly further advanced. But again, I don't. But I don't think it's going to happen though, Gary. I don't. I mean, I want it to. I want us to.
Stop being miserable, Chris.
No, I'm just trying to be realistic. I think he's going to stick.
Stop spreading negative vibes. You're
Shut up! I'm not right. What I'm trying to say is, I don't think he's going to necessarily change the formation. He might change some personnel, but I don't think he's going to change the formation. And I personally, I wouldn't drop Scholes. I think Scholes is a better fullback.
Don't call it drop. Emerson. Don't call it drop. It's a change in tactics. He gets rested.
Whatever. Yeah. But I wouldn't want him to do that, because actually, going back to my point, right? Scholes, what is he? 19, nearly 20. So why not
through the shop window? So
Scholes 19-20. So actually, surely, if you want to kind of, if you see him as a player for the future, then do you know what? Just continue to play him for the rest of this season. Get him used to the Premier League, get him used to West Ham, playing in the first team, and then he's going to be good to go. He's going to be plug and play for the start of next season. So I'm not saying I don't think he needs to be rested, Gal. I don't think he does.
Yeah, no, I know. I think it's important though, Ralph, that we're not getting thrashed every week and we're competing in games. And like we just said the other night, that early chance with Souček goes in, potentially a different result, a different outcome. Potentially the game where we played really well away to Chelsea, then get that massive fucking slice of luck, that deflection, and we get something out of that as well. So it's fine margins sometimes. Two disappointments for me: Crystal Palace, Brentford. They're the two massive disappointments for me. I'm not going to say Leicester was disappointing. We turned up, didn't get out of first gear, and beat them 2-0 at a canter. To me, job done. What we're moaning about, right?
Yeah, but Newcastle was disappointing. Crystal Palace, I understand, for reasons of 3 games in the course of like 7 or 8 days. So I kind of get that. I do. Brentford,
Obsidian
100%.
nails it, by the way. Yeah, he has shown. So I wanted JLo out after 5 games. I think secretly we all did, but some of us on channels, we had to stick with it for 10 games, literally had to, or it looks embarrassing, right? You can see he wasn't going to work, but Potter has shown immediate improvement. He has. There's been so many players improved under his reign. JWP was not useful last year. Alvarez was just a liability under Lopetegui, wasn't he? And in the end, under Moyes as well. So many players, and definitely Paqueta, in fits and starts, has played his best football for about a year under Potter. You remember the Fulham game, for instance?
Yeah, I mean, fits and starts, as you say, it's not been a consistent thing. It's not. And you said about JWP, coming. Well, for me, JWP was like the old JWP. Last week, this week against Newcastle.
Yeah. We're going to sign Batshuayi this window, and
I'm sounding quite negative at the moment. Yeah, I'm sounding quite negative about what I'm saying, but I'm just, again, I think there's certain players that I don't think you're really ever going to get a tune out of, or you're really ever going to improve and make better. And I think hopefully Potter will realise that and get shot of them at the end of the season.
So, Chris, I usually get negative after a game. I always start the game out full of optimism, like we should do, right? It's Saturday morning. It's nearly 10 o'clock. We're going to finish by 10, I'm going to have 5 hours of optimism. That's what I'm going to have. Quiet optimism until
I'm
the game
nervous, mate.
starts.
I'm nervous, and I'm kind of
I'm
the opposite
nervous.
of you right now. I'm the
Yeah.
opposite of you right now, and it's purely because the way I see this is, if I expect us to lose, then it's only going to be a plus if we win. Do you know what I mean? I'm gonna feel happy later on. So at least I'm not going to feel any worse than what I do now, unless we get taken absolute talking from Everton, which I don't think is going to happen.
No, that much is true. That much is true for sure. Chris is Mr. Positive. Really?
It's all a lie. It's all a lie.
Keep up with the live vlogs. Love them. I really like the live vlogs, and I think they're worth the effort. Look, you can't win every game, right? Sadly, and it is a risk you take when you go and collect all that footage that we might fuck the team might fuck it up for you. But it takes dedication to do it, Chris.
I don't mind doing it. It's fun, to be honest with you. It's fun. And it's just that is literally kind of what the pre-match is like. I mean, that is the pre-match. You know what I mean? No one's staging it or anything. That's just what we do. You know.
No, it's good to see. Moyes is up for manager of the month. Well, that's always a good step for manager. It's usually after they win manager of the month. You got to be honest, though, haven't you?
Do you know what I did this morning, Gal? Do you know what I did this morning? I don't know why I did this to myself. I chose to watch Moyes' pre-match press conference.
Oh, don't do that to yourself.
But I did it, and I watched the whole bloody thing, and he just looked so smug as well. I was like, why did I watch it? Why? But I think that I kind of feel like he's really confident that he's going to get something out of West Ham today. You know, I mean, look, don't forget, he knows a lot of our players. So he'll know their strengths and weaknesses, right? So.
Shall I say it though, Chris? Shall I say the stat, Chris? Shall I say
Yeah, share it. Yeah, I know. Yeah, share it, definitely.
Potter versus Moyes, played 7. Potter has won 5. They've drawn 2. Moyes has never beaten Potter, not even he's taken 2 points off him. That's it, right? I think we scored like 2 goals, 3 goals against him. You remember, he kept changing the bloody game against him at half time. You remember? So I'd like to see that today. I wouldn't mind if I could take a thing, a predefined outcome, right? I'd say let him go 2-0 up. Potter makes changes at half time. We come back and win 3-2. That would be the perfect day. But I'd rather not go through that anxiety.
Gary, did we not have these types of conversations when we played Brentford about Potter's record against Thomas Frank?
Yeah, Ralph, it's all I can say, mate. You can't keep having the same conversations because I don't think it's the same. Very few people do. You do. That's your call, right? Well done. Right. Back with me, Rosie Lee. Yeah, talking of that. Yes.
Oh, I've given up with mine. Mine's freezing cold now. So
mine is. I don't mind cold tea though. Do you cold tea, cold pizza? Do you eat cold pizza?
No,
you ever had a vindaloo the following morning?
What, a cold vindaloo?
Yeah, it's actually quite nice for breakfast.
Absolutely not.
When I've had a skinful, get up the following day and there's like this plate with rice and vindaloo sitting on it.
Oh, God, no.
Lamb,
kebabs I've
done.
done.
I'm checking it, right?
Kebabs I've done, not a flipping vindaloo.
No, how could you eat kebab in the morning, you animal?
I've done that. When I was a student, I did, mate. Back in the day, I did.
No.
I had to make that last.
It's the right thing to have have a curry in the morning, right? I found out it's actually
quite
hardcore,
nice. Mate. Yeah, hardcore.
Taste buds.
I've seen a whole new hardcore to you over the course of the last few weeks, mate. Honestly, vindaloos in the morning.
That's why I didn't want to read that out. Chris made me reading out that stat. So
you wanted to, mate. You wanted to.
I know, Ralph. It wasn't the same time. We keep the ball so much better. Yeah, I mean, look, it's backwards and forwards. Some people have one opinion, some people have others. We have a lot of people. It's just it's very simple. I think some people don't even consciously do it. What it is are they entertained? No. Then it's Moyes. So everything that's not entertaining equals Moyes, because you can't actually look at the football and say it's the same as Moyes, because I think you'd be disingenuous if you did that. So I'm just saying, I think people do it on feeling rather than facts. Cup final, Gary and Oz. How is this a cup final? Don't let Moyes get inside your head like that, Gary. It'll only end in disappointment. Us Gary's got to be positive. Irons. You know what I'm thinking of doing? I was thinking about this the other day. My mind works in funny ways. You know, you go to a game. We're walking the other day. You're doing a vlog, and you get some geezer who's walking along, and randomly out of his mouth it comes Irons. Yeah, And it's just sort of thing. Every time someone does that, I think, has he got an alarm clock that does that? Has he got his recording on his phone? So he wakes up to Irons, and the first thing he says is Irons, and his wife tells him to fuck off. Get out of here. That sort of thing. Yeah. Gave me an idea. Right. Cold pizza, cold Indian, and silver trays. Ooh, and silver trays. Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
botcha. Chinese for breakfast, mate. Ugh, no. Oh,
no,
making me feel sick
I've
all this
not
talk.
done that. I've not done Chinese for breakfast, but the Indian definitely works. And I tell you what, when I went to India, because I used to go there 4 times a year for work, and they started putting, because everything they is laced with chili, right? Luckily, I like hot food, so they put these really hot green chilies. I mean, really hot green chilies on my scrambled egg at breakfast, right? And I pushed it aside and ate the scrambled egg, and then I thought at the end, I'll have a little bit of that. Let's see what it's like, right? I had a bit. I thought, ooh, this actually tastes all right in the morning. It actually tastes all right. So I started doing it. I started ordering it, and I was getting them to lace it with chili, yeah, with peppers. You know,
You're wrong, mate. Honestly, you're just
I'm not
wrong.
wrong. I'm
Like
right.
for
I'm very.
breakfast,
You don't realise I'm right. If you haven't tried it, how do you know I'm wrong? Uh,
I don't need to
yeah,
try it to know that I'm
exactly,
not
Ralph.
right.
It's about opinions. That's exactly what it is, and you're entitled to yours. You're entitled to yours.
A
I know.
bit
And
like you and
and
I. If you're vindaloo for
yeah,
breakfast, mate, exactly the
I,
same.
I also know that it's very different when you go to a game to watching it on the TV. Sometimes, if I'm watching a game on TV and it don't catch my attention, I might doze off or stop watching it and do something else. Right? So I get it. I get it. At the game, it's a bit more difficult to do that, isn't it? Even though I was doing it a lot last year. When we got slaughtered by, well, I went with John the KC to the Liverpool game. It was so poor that I just chatted to him for 90 minutes and didn't really look at what was going on the pitch. That's how low it got.
Yeah.
Pickled lime on the side. See, I'm not a fan of the pickled lime, Paul, but each their own, you know, each their own. Curry kebabs, Chinese in the morning, perfect hangover cure. See, that's what it was. When I was eating that cold curry in the morning, that was after a night on JD or the Jim Beam or something like that, where I was getting mullered.
You didn't warm it up in a microwave, just to be clear on this.
No,
You actually ate it straight cold from the tray.
cold,
Oh
Chris.
no, definitely not. Sorry.
You don't know what you're missing, Chris, says Ted. That's right. That's right. Absolutely
Ah,
right.
definitely. I'm happy with
Carbs
that.
for breakfast, wake you up, give you an energy boost. Away you go. A little bit chilly, wake up the taste buds, get the brain alert, Chris. That's what I do. I actually do it myself from
Monster and a
time to
cold
time. I
curry
make
for
scrambled
breakfast, yeah?
eggs. I emulate my Indian experience. I make myself scrambled eggs, put a little chili on it. Yeah, little green
Monster and a
chili.
cold curry for breakfast, gal.
No,
Is that your
monsters for
go-to?
later in the day, Chris. Later in the day. Don't drink monster
Yeah,
in the morning. Drink tea, Chris. Cold tea.
yeah.
Isn't there an Indian place in London that does an Indian breakfast? I believe I saw it on YouTube. I don't. There probably is. There must
Yeah,
be.
it must
There
be.
must be. Yeah. Right. So, Chris. In summary, let's talk
Mm.
about. I think. Let's predict what we'd want. I would want a back four. Who are we going to have in midfield? Quickly. Sorry, Claire. We've overrun. I know you have to be awake by 10.
Who are we going to have in midfield? I don't know. I mean, I would like to see Alvarez in the midfield because by default he has to play. Um, I
Yeah.
think Souček will still play
He's got to
because
play. I think because of the physical
yeah,
side of the game.
he
Yeah.
will, and I think that Moyes won't like that either
Yeah.
because he knows what he can do from an
Yeah.
attacking sense. I would probably drop Ward-Prowse if I'm being
Yeah.
honest. I probably would
Yeah.
drop him. You know, replace him probably with Paqueta. I'd imagine if he's fit, and hopefully he'll be Paqueta that hasn't got all of this nonsense that's going on behind him affecting his game, right? And then obviously I want to see Ferguson playing. I want to see Goodison. I mean, I don't know how many players I'm calling out here, right? But what I'd say is
14 so far.
4-1,
Yeah.
4-1-4-1, something along those lines. With a Goodison coming on off the
Who's
left,
up front?
Owen coming off the right, Ferguson up front.
Ferguson.
Yeah, and I'll play Paqueta, Souček, and Alvarez in midfield. That's what I would do. I would see Kudus and Bowen kind of coming up to help support Ferguson, as well.
I would go for that every time. And it would surprise Moyes if he did that. If he read he's trained all week for something completely different and suddenly you throw that curveball at him, it would surprise him. Let's face it. I would go for that starting lineup every day of the week. I am worried he's going to keep the same side, but I don't think he will because I don't think he's like that for a start. I think he'll play a team that's gonna go up against the 4-2-3-1.
Well, let's hope, mate.
Attacking team that is David Moyes, right? It counter attacks. It's really important that our centre halves are on their game for sure. It's important that that we're disciplined against the counter-attacking side during transitions, especially. So, look, let's hope for the best. I'm a bit frightened, but let's hope for the best. I'm upbeat until I need to be otherwise. Predictions. Give us your predictions in the chat, people.
My prediction is I think Everton are going to beat us today, Gary. I'm going to say 2-1 to Everton. and I really hope I'm wrong.
How can you even predict that? Let's wash your mouth out.
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a tough game today. I think Moyes is going to be bang up for it.
And it's so going to be a tough game.
But having said that, this not winning streak, but this undefeated streak that Moyes is going through. What, 9 games? You said, yeah. There's a number of joys in there, but it's got to end at some point. He's got to get this loss. So far since he's come to Everton, I think he lost his first game and he's lost the cup game. So you put the first game out of the way. That was his first. You give him a free hit on that one. He's undefeated in the Premier League so far. That's got to end. That has to end. But
yeah,
I'm hesitant to say it's going to happen today, Gal. I'm worried, and I think we could lose it 2-1. I hope I'm wrong. I totally hope I'm wrong.
No, it's fine. That's you're entitled to your opinion. We didn't have one counter attack for Newcastle. No, we didn't. We didn't have anyone to counter attack with. To be honest, they're all defending. So 2-1 loss. I'm going to go for a 1-1. I don't predict draws very often, but I see this has got draw written all over it, and I think both managers, they are, when it comes, I think for instance with Brentford, if Thomas Frank, if that defensive mistake don't happen in the middle of midfield, I think both of those managers, Frank and Potter, just let that run out to a draw. I think that's exactly what Potter and Moyes would do today, but only if it goes a certain distance. I think Moyes, they will come at us to start with, and it will be tough. And I think we might go behind. But I like it when everyone predicts West Ham are going to lose, because the last time that happened, Chris, Arsenal away.
It's true. Yeah, that is true. I mean, there's been a few games that we predicted that we'd lose, but we haven't actually. So, yeah, I'm quite happy to predict that we'll lose in that case, because maybe that might mean that we'll win. Who knows? But, I'm saying 2-1. Exactly, mate. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm trying to counteract your stats that you're providing just now with your Potter versus Moyes. I'm just kind of trying to balance it out a little bit. But, yeah, all I hope, right, from today, if we do lose, is that we go out there and we fight for the badge, right? We fight for the badge and we give the away fans something to shout about today, because there's a lot of people I know going up there, and I hope they have a good day out. Yeah, what can I say? Let's just hope it's a really good performance.
Be a great day out, wouldn't it? Thank you, Ted the Hammer. Thank you. And I think tough one. It's low goals, 1-0 to West Ham. I'll take that every day of the week, Paul.
I'll tell you what I'd like, Gary. So just before we go, tell you what I'd like.
Jose Martinez 1-1.
Do you know what I would actually be quite happy with, in a weird kind of perverse way?
Yeah,
is kind of like a shite house win with Souček scoring off his backside at the last minute. That that would be another decent outcome. Just be a victim of that sort of play. Yeah. Irony, a certain irony there. Yeah.
I see what you're doing. But yeah, let's. There's one more prediction there before we go, and that is from Gary and Oz.
Hope someone
part of the Gary community. 3-1 to Goodison. Goodison will score. It's got to come one week, isn't it? It's got to come.
He needs it. He really does.
He really does, more than anyone. He's so low in confidence in front of goal. I mean, he was bashing Chuck. I mean, he seems afraid to shoot at the moment, doesn't he?
Another touch. He weren't doing that. Goal. Yeah, he did it the other day, didn't he?
Where's that Goodison gone? The one that ran the length of the pitch and spanked the ball home with pure confidence, The guy that came on against Newcastle as a substitute, one touch, bosh, in the bottom corner.
That goal that he scored, where he ran the whole pitch, basically, that was yesterday. A year ago,
that player's still there. That Goodison's still there. It just needs some switch inside his head. Needs to be flipped, right? Maybe he'll see Moyes and it will remind him where that switch is. Maybe. Don't know. Because he did do well under Moyes. You've got to say, Souček winner. Helicopter in front of Moyes. I would love that. Go right over to the dugout and do the helicopter. Yeah.
And maybe slap Moyes whilst he's doing his helicopter around him.
Yeah. With each blade. Yeah. Right.
Slap.
Anyway, look, let's leave it there, Chris. Thank you. Happy Saturday, everybody. I hope it turns out to be a brilliant one following a West Ham magnificent win. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy the game. See you soon. Come on, your irons.